Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth. And yes, it's Tuesday. We are back with the artisanal Sudoku series from James Sinclair. And once again, I am featuring the third puzzle in the free ones that he publishes because we get to choose our own difficulty ratings. So you pick your own adventure. I am going to be using the one that has fewer clues, so it's going to be a little bit harder than kind of our normal for a weekday. Of course, you've got two links down below, so if you find it a bit difficult, you can always go for the second clue, or to be fair, if I really struggle, I will fall back onto it myself. So we'll see which one we're going to be solving. Now, I assume that James is actually referring to Arecibo in Puerto Rico, where there is a observatory there, kind of to study the stars, I guess. Peru. It is Peru. Peru, Puerto Rico, kind of all in the right location in general, just to have, relatively low coverage of clouds, and therefore you can have, gigantic satellites that can stare into space. And when you actually take a look at today's grid, I am fairly confident that's what James is actually referring to, because it looks like there is indeed a giant satellite that is there on the grid. Anyway, don't take my word for it. Let's take a look at today's puzzle and rule set with Arecibo from James Sinclair and the following set of rules. First off, I'm going to just point out the obvious. Giant satellite, yeah, with whatever this is, kind of a ray coming in, I assume. Sorry. Anyway, I'm not entirely certain what these are. I guess that could be kind of like the antenna in the middle. Not too sure. Anyway, let's take a look at the rule sets. We've got normal Sudoku rules applied and all clues are standards, which include diagonal, German whispers, Renbans, XVs, and odds and evens. If you know what all of that means, you know what to do. Pick your adventure down below with the two different links. One, I'll just make sure that it's obvious that it says extra clues. On the off chance that you don't know what all of that means, rules-wise, we've got normal Sudoku, so place the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row. Every column, of course, every 3x3 box, so nothing unusual here in terms of Sudoku. Then we have digits cannot repeat on the indicated diagonal. So this is just the negative diagonal. So this blue line is essentially another set of the digits 1 to 9 once each. Because essentially it's 9 cells, and I can't repeat digits, so it will be the digits 1 to 9 once each as well. Then we have German whispers. So along green lines, digits differ from their neighbors by at least 5. So if this cell is a 2, the neighbors would have to be from 7, 8, or 9 to be 5 or more away. If this cell happens to be an 8, this cell would have to be 1 or 3. Of course, I could repeat the 2, just happens to be in the same row, and Sudoku won't allow it to be 5 or more from the 8. And you can see we're oscillating between high digits, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, the low digits, and then back and forth we go between high and low, oscillating around the 5, but never the 5. Renban lines, purple lines, contain a non-repeating set of consecutive digits in any order. So if this cell is a 2, for example, these two cells could be 3, 4. So that essentially this is a set of 3 consecutive digits. Of course, it doesn't have to be 3, 4. It could be 1, 2, 3. The key thing is, though, is I cannot skip digits. 2, 3, 5 doesn't work. I mean, in this case, the Renbans are in the same box. So obviously, I can't repeat digits as well. Right. XVs, so cells separated by a V must sum up to 5. Cells separated by an X must sum up to 10. So if this cell is a 1, this would have to be a 4 to make sure these two cells add up to 5. If this cell is a 2, this would have to be an 8 to make sure that these two cells add up to 10. No mention of negative constraints, so I'm certainly going to assume it doesn't apply. So a 2 and a 3 add up to 5, a 3 and a 7 add up to 10. No X, no V, I am going to assume that's all allowed. Last but not least, we've got digits in cells with a shaded square are even. So these 3 cells that have a shaded square in them are even digits from 2, 4, 6, or 8. So that's all the rules we have for today. As always, play along, links in the description down below for you to do so. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. I mean, the Renbans are such a dead giveaway. So I need a low digit and a high digit to add up to 10. Essentially 1 from 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 from 6, 7, 8, 9. And somehow I'm going to need to have a digit that can actually be consecutive with the two of them. can see the only way that this would work is if it is 4 with a 6 and a 5 in here. So that's our first digit, that's our break-in. It's always good when you're playing a harder puzzle and you get the first digit in under a minute, under 30 seconds in this case. We have a very similar thing going on here. So, 1, 4 doesn't work on this V because I'm not going to be able to put both the 2 and the 3 in here to create a consecutive set. So this is definitely 2 or 3, and therefore this is 1 or 4 for this particular Renban line to make sure that they're consecutive as well. Now, actually, the 4, 5, 6 being in the middle is quite helpful because if you think about it, this Renban now has to be either 1, 2, 3 because 4, 5, 6 are not available, or 7, 8, 9. So we actually have like a bit of a play here with polarity. I don't know which is low, which is high. We're going to figure that out in a second. But let's say this is purple and this is orange. So either this is 1, 2, 3 and this is 7, 8, 9, or this is 7, 8, 9 and this is 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I can see kind of what's the next move here. Right, let's talk briefly about these gigantic, as you need to be able to observe deep into space, you will need a gigantic set of German whisper lines. So we talked about how German whisper lines oscillate between low and high digits. I specifically said they oscillate around the 5s, but never the 5s. Now, I don't know what's low and high. I just know that it's going to be green and yellow, green and yellow. We'll figure out in a second which one is, minutes, 10, who knows, which one is low and which one is high. Key thing, though, is that you can never have a 5 on a German whisper line because the neighbors would have to be 0 or 10 to be 5 or more away, which really doesn't work in normal Sudoku when you're expecting the digits 1 to 9. So no 5s, no 5s. Where is the 5 in rows 9 and column 9? Well, it's got to be in here, and it's got to be joint between them. So this is the only place for a 5. No 5 now in box 5. So the 5 is not on this Renban. It has to be on this Renban. And it could be 4, 5, 6 if this is a 1. It could also be 5, 6, 7. So it's always going to be joined up with a 6. So no 6 in here. No 6 in there because of the 4, 6. So 6 has to be down here on this diagonal so that we have the digits 1 to 9 once each. And then I have, well, where does 8 and 9 now go in box 5? Well, they can't be on the Renban. They're out of reach of it. So there's an 8 and 9 in here for sure, plus one of 4 or 7. Actually, I can resolve that now, can't I? Because I can't place the 1 on the Renban with 5, 6. No, I could still have 4, 7 in here. So let me just think this through. Right, order of operations. Box 1, now that I have 8 and 9 on the diagonal, I know that purple is low digits because they're not 7, 8, 9. Orange is high digits with 7, 8, 9. And this is 1, 2, 3. Now, the 1 is not on the diagonal in box 5, and it can't join a 3-cell Renban with 5 and 6. So the only place left for the 1 is in here. So this is a 1, 2, 3. It actually doesn't resolve the 4, does it? Because essentially the loose digits that I have is 4 and 7, and I don't see a problem with them here, in that it could be a 6-7 pair, and that this is 4, 8, 9. It feels a little bit less elegant, but possible. He says, doubting himself, that there has to be a good way of proving it. And normally when I say that, I ignore Sudoku for far too long and I come back to it way too late. So let's talk about where we have some information here, row 9 and column 9. And I think I'm onto something. So we've got 3 low digits, 3 high digits, and a 5. So this is going to be made up of a low and high in some order. And then we've got, yep, 3 yellows, 3 greens. So again, it'll be a low and high in some order. So I've got 1 low, 2 lows, 3 lows, and I have 1 high, 2 high, 3 highs. I'm just assuming for a second, just for convenience, that one of them is low and one of them is high. So that means these two cells have to be of different polarities. I can't have a 6-7 in here. This is a 4-6 pair, meaning the 4 is not in here, that this is a 4-5-6 Renban, and this is 7-8-9 again. Excellent. Interestingly, whenever you think about 4s and 6s in German whisper lines, whenever you see 4s and 6s are on German whisper lines, you should pay attention. And you should pay attention because fitting 4 and 6 on a German whisper line is always difficult, but it's like quite difficult. It's this length and all of the cells see one another. To make this more specific, if I put a 4 in here, I've broken the puzzle. It would require a double 9. Same is true for the 6. If I put a 6 on here, I would require a double 1. So essentially, the only place for the 4 and 6, which is not in row 9 in box 9 or column 9 in box 9, it has to be on the German whisper lines. It can only be at the end. So these are 4-6 pairs, and immediately next to them is a 1-9 pair. Essentially, if that's 6, that's 1. If that's 4, that's 9. If that's 4 and 6, that 10 is clearly 4 and 6. If I care to, I can actually just put that polarity in here as well, the color. And we've got the same thing going on in here. And yes, keep doing Sudoku, Sleuth. That 1 tells me polarity. That's a 9, that's a 1. That will tell me the colors now. So yellow has to be high, green has to be low, based on that Sudoku. This is not a 9. Keep doing it so that I don't forget about it. That's a 6. That's not the 6. That's the 4. That's the 6. That's the 4. Of course, the 4 in here requires a 9 in there. The 6 that will go in here would require a double 1. And this would be 9, and this would be 4, and that 4 will give me 6, and that would give me 4, and suddenly we have a flurry of activities to break this open. 2, 3, 7, 8. Same thing, 2, 3, 7, 8. Less exciting, but it is what it is. 4, of course, gave me 6 and 4. And now these are starting to look very interesting in the sense that this is 2 or 8. It is not 4 or 6. In fact, this is 2 or 8. It is not 4 or 6. Any chance it's the same in here as well? It'd be convenient because we'd end up removing 2 and 8 as a pair from row 8. Come on, come on, come on. There's probably going to be some Sudoku that I'm not seeing yet. And I'm really not seeing it. I should move on and spot a few things. These X's are clearly placed there for a reason. They're calling out to us. It's just the fact that these were revealed to us right now kind of makes me wonder, what am I missing? And Sudoku says there's a 1 here. It says there is a 4 there, a 4 here. It's all not very interesting stuff right now. Right. The nature of X clues is that you have to have a low digit, 1, 2, 3, 4, with a high digit, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, I clearly know that this is not 4, 6, but almost forget what it is for a second. The important part is it actually includes a high digit plus another 2 plus a 4th. There are no more high digits left in these cells. So essentially, these are 1, 2, 3, and a 5 to give me a 1, 2, 3, not quite triple because there's going to be another low digit in here. Now, this is not 1, and this is not 1. So it's a 2, 3, 5, not triple again, which is half interesting. I feel like I'm missing something. I can't really tell what these are yet. Obviously, if this is a 7, this would be a 2. If this is 3, that would be an 8. But I could absolutely have 2 and 8, for example, and then a 3-7 pair in here. So nothing, I think, is preventing that. Oh, no, 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 that's not true. If I put a 2-8 in here, I'm putting 3-7 there. No, excuse me. If I make these 2 and 8, that puts this 3-7. That makes this 2-8. And then suddenly I've broken this German whisper line because it'll be 7 and 3. So I do know for a fact that the high and low digit that are in here have to be like compatible German whisper lines on both ends. Hopefully I explained that with the counter fairly well, because like I don't think my words make sense on their own. But again, if I pick an incompatible set, like 2 and 8, this would force 7 and 3 in here and it's broken it. If I put 3 and 7 in here, I've still put a 2-8 in there, and then it's back to 3-7. So the sides have to be something like 2-7 on one end, 3-8 on the other. And it's kind of up to us. I mean, that really tells me I should pay attention to what this is in a second. But that is helpful to know now rather than later. Already removed the 9 that's in here. I don't know what's going on still with these. Come on, sleuth. What are we getting at? Sometimes I really do get tempted to switch on whatever it's called again, pencil mark checking, because, you know, sometimes I can miss some very, like, incredibly obvious stuff, which is probably not, like, could be quite frustrating for you guys. It's going so fast and so smoothly, and then suddenly it's just come down to a crashing halt, and then it's frustrating. So no 5s. 5 is in here. 5 is in there. Whatever this cell is. Right, let's look at it this differently. Excuse me. Like maybe I'm just only starting to wake up. No 6s. Is a 6. 4-5 pair. Tells me that this is indeed 2-8. Tells me that this is indeed a 3-7. Doesn't actually help me, because if that's we now know if that's 3, that's 8, and we know if that's 7, that's 2. We know that for certain now based on that deduction we had earlier, but it's not quite enough to bring this home. Right. Where I was going with this is that we know that the high digit that's in here is another 7, 8, 9. Stating the obvious, it's not 6. Now, whatever that 7, 8, 9 digit is, it's in here. Where am I going with this? So essentially there's a 7, 8, 9. Let's just assume for a second it's there for convenience, and then it's in here, and then it's got to be one of these 3 cells. Seriously, I don't know where this is going. Not nowhere useful. This could be helpful. Right, so obviously we talked a little bit about how the x's are made up of low and high digits. I kind of ignored it earlier because we have a 2, 3, 4. So I always thought there could be a 1 and a 9, but it's just I didn't pay attention to the fact that this is not a 1-9 pair. And it's obviously not a 4-6 pair. This is 2, 3 with 7, 8. More not very useful information. Six, 6, 6. 6 is already in the box. Just ignore what I just said. 6 is in here. Is it Sudoku? Don't know. So what am I missing? I've got 1, 2. I don't really have line of sight. I mean, like the 4 is in here for all the use that is. I know that's not a 5. I don't see a problem with it being 3. I need to break these basically to kind of make some progress, and it's back. So I mean, like it's nice we've made some progress with this X. I'm like nowhere near the same level of progress with this X. So there's something that I should be thinking about that I'm not quite getting. Not a 6 in here. Do some Sudoku in the meantime. That is probably a good idea. It's always a good idea. I think I've got all the value that I can out of the diagonal, haven't I? There's really not much left for the diagonal, so I can kind of ignore it. And the German Whisper, we've kind of squeezed every piece of logic out of it, almost. So really, it's Sudoku and this X. That's really the only thing that's left on the table. There's a 1 in here. So what am I missing in the column? In the row, perhaps? Just mumbling to myself now. No 4, no 4, no 4. Is a 4. Hardly useful. No 6s, no 6s. We also know no 6s. Again, hardly useful. Whatever this cell is, it's none of these, it's down here. Kind of useful. So these 2 8s are the same. That is actually useful. No, it could be here. Never mind. For a second I was going to say this has to be 8, 8, 8. But it could absolutely be 2, 2, 2. I'm honestly not too sure what's going on. So the counterpart of this cell has to be in one of these. I'm just kind of wondering, is it meant to be that it can't be this one? Let me just kind of play around for a second. So if this is 8, we said this would be 3, and therefore this would be 2, this would be 7. Just humor me for a second. And then down here we would have to 7 in some order. Now, it doesn't seem to have, like, frankly, any relationship. I mean, it does make this 8, and this 8, and this 3, and this 2. I'm not, like, I'm getting 0 about how these two interact right now. So I'm going to do what I do very well, which is ignore it for a bit. Try and figure out what's going on here again. I feel like what we should be doing, I feel, emphasis on feel, or my intuition says we should be counting lows and highs digits in the rows, kind of like we started doing in row 1, to try and make some progress here, but really struggling to see how that's going to help us without a bit more Sudoku to move us forward. So the remaining cells, I have another 1, 2, 3. I have another 7. Where is 9 in column 1? Goodness me. It's none of these cells. That's a 9. That's not a 9. That's a 9. That is not 9. We established that whatever this cell is going to be in here, and then one of these. Then the 9 is in one of these two cells. The 9 is now a 4-9 pair in here, meaning in there is a 3-7 and a 5, and this is the 5, and this is the 3-7, and this is another 3-7 and a 1-6. 3-7 tells me that this has to be 2-8, and this is another 3-7 pair to complete the row. Whoa. Hang on. 3-7 tells me that had to be 2-8. I agree with that. That removes a 2 from here. That doesn't make this a 3-7 pair. That makes this a 1-3-7. Better. Better. Not helpful. Don't know. Just do more Sudoku sleuth. That's like clearly always the answer. And then you get stuck on really simple things. I mean, to be fair, I don't know about simple, but items that should be more of a breeze than they currently are. So what's up here? Another 2, 7, 8, a 5, and a 3. There's a 3 up here. Apparently. 4, 9 is indeed down there. Given there's a 3 up there, that is not 3. Plus a 5 as well. Just keep track of these. Not a 5, plus a 2, 7, 8. Yeah. I may have to hit the pause button, by the way. I hit the pause button on the recording, but I didn't actually hit pause on the game, so add however many more minutes in there was there. 6. Come on, sleuth. 6, 4, 9, 4, not 1, 9. So the only place for a 9 now in row 1 is here, not a 9. And therefore this is another 2, 3, 7, 8. Yes, because I have this 7, 8 joining a 2, 3. And therefore this is not 1. This is the 1. That's not 1. This is the only place for a 1. That's 7. That's 3. That's 7. That's 2. This is a 3, 8 pair. This is 7. This is 2. This is 8. This is 2. And it's all collapsing all of a sudden. 8, 2, not 2. Don't know. That 2 gave me 3 and 2. 2 is actually kind of the least useful here, because I don't know what's there. I can probably put a 1, 6 pair in here. I can put a 3, 5, 8 in there. Not a 5. I think we've got a hailstorm outside here. Wow. Yeah, we do have a hailstorm outside. It's mid-May. Move on, move on. 8, of course, gave me 7 and 8. Therefore, this has to be a 2, 8 pair because the 7 is not available. That is not a 2, that's a 3, 5 pair, which I still can't figure out which is which, except that's the 8, that's the 2, that's the 3, not 3s, 5, 8 pair. Don't know what to do with the 7, 8s just yet. So what's going on here? What do I need? I need a 7. What is this cell? What are all the remaining cells? Let's ask that question a bit more effectively. So I've got 3, 5, 6, 7. I'm just gonna, and 9, sorry, 3, 5, 7, 9. 3, 5, 7, 9. Let's just get the whole lot in. No 9s, no 5s, no 3. This is 3, 7, 9. This is not 3 or 9, that's a 7, that's a 3, that's an 8, that's a 3. These are not 3s, that's the 5, 3. I can't type. 7, 9, that's 9, 9, 7. Something. 5, 9. 9 and 5. 8 and 5. 7 and 8. I think we've got this now. Finally. Sorry about that. That was just Sudoku. Me making Sudoku look difficult. That's kind of how I would sum it up, really. Only place for a 2. Only place for an 8. Therefore, the only place for a 6. We need 1, 5, and 7. This is the 5. That's a 1, 7 pair, both of these. That 5 gave me 4 and 5. That 2, 3 tells me there's another 1, 7 in here. And a 5. The 5 is there. This is the 1 or 7. In here I need 3 and 6. That's 3, that's the 6, which gives me 1, 7, 6, 1, 7. These were resolved as well. 3, 2, only place for a 1. And if I've not made any mistakes, 4 for the finish. It's fantastic puzzle, James. Like, absolutely fantastic puzzle. It was such a breeze to start. And then, of course, it got onto my absolute best bit, which is Sudoku. And I made it look very difficult unnecessarily. So I hope you guys had fared a lot better than I have, and that you've enjoyed the puzzle and the video. And I'll see you back soon. Bye-bye for now.